Tonight, 3 far northern seats remain in the balance.
4 front court after covert drugs operation.
And the Cyclones storm home for upset win.
Win News with Craig Campbell and Bridie Barry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A nervous wait for the candidates of Barron River, Cairns and Mulgrave as the seats remain on a knife's edge tonight. Vote counting is to continue, but it's expected to be days before a clear result is known.
Labor's Leslie Clark is quietly confident. On a two-party preferred basis, she has the upper hand with an extra 310 votes over sitting Liberal Lynn Warwick.
We're still predicting that we can, in fact, win Barron River by the slenderest of margins, maybe even only 50 votes.
But Ms Warwick assures the battle's not over.
Well, I don't think either of us should count our chickens. I've got to say I'm not probably as optimistic as she is, but until the last vote is counted, I'm not going to concede defeat.
For her, Saturday was a night of agony and ecstasy.
I'm up! I'm up!
The night's final figures giving Dr Clark the edge, One Nation snaring close to 27% of the primary vote. But with 2,000 pre-poll, absentee and postal votes yet to be counted, it may be a week before the final results known. In Cairns on Saturday, Labor's hopeful replacement for Keith DeLacy was all smiles. That night, more of the same as figures put the ALP on top.
Well, the Liberal man at the upmarket eatery down the road refuses to concede defeat. What's your message to him?
I'm sorry, Miles. My commiserations.
However, Ms Boyle expects her lead to reduce as One Nation's Peter Boniface plays catch-up using Liberal Miles Thompson's preferences. Without postal, absentee and pre-poll votes, Ms Boyle's over 1,800 votes clear in the primary. The Nationals member for Mulgrave and Minister Naomi Wilson was unsure what the day would bring when she cast her vote Saturday. Her supporters gathering around the TV screens at her home that night. The figures rolling in, a bigger than expected surprise.
It's quite an incredible day, and it's quite an incredible night to see the poll results coming through. It's just an absolutely historic election.
Mrs Wilson believes the huge swing away from the coalition indicates that voters are showing their anger about federal issues at a state level. While Labor's Warren Pitt is ahead on the primary vote, he's not confident. There are 4,000 votes yet to be counted. Currently, One Nation's Charles Rapolk leads Mrs Wilson by 337 primary votes. A preferences tussle expected to reveal a winner.
I'm on the white wine. I haven't got to the champagne yet.
Sally Eels, Win News.
Outside Cairns, sitting ALP member for Cook Steve Bredhow is certain to retain his position. Mr Bredhow was one of the few Labor members to experience a swing towards him at the polls. On the tablelands, One Nation's Sean Nelson has claimed victory over sitting National and Minister Tom Gilmore. However, Mr Gilmore has not conceded defeat. He is still awaiting the counting of preferences. South to Hinchinbrook, National Party Minister Mark Roll is confident of retaining his seat despite strong support for the One Nation candidate.
Federal member for Leichhardt, Warren Ench, is hoping One Nation's overwhelming support in a state election won't prompt John Howard to back away from an early poll. He says the Liberal Party still has the concerns of the bush at heart and a quick resolution on Wick is essential.
As One Nation cuts a swathe through Queensland Parliament, our federal politicians are weighing up their futures. The prospect of an early election now hangs in the balance, but a surprise reaction from federal coalition member for Leichhardt, Warren Ench, prepared to lose his seat for a quick end to the Wick standoff.
But quite frankly, I think that the people in the bush have waited for far too long for this to be resolved.
Mr Ench largely blames the media for One Nation's overnight success, claiming they failed to report the policy facts of both major parties.
This is what happened in this election. You know, there was grabs, there was 7-second grabs without any explanation behind it, and people got emotional, they got angry, and they got all upset over a lot of perceptions.
But he concedes the Hanson factor alone could be strong enough to topple the government at the national polls, holding the balance of power in the Senate.
It does certainly pose a difficulty. I said right from the onset that I felt that One Nation would give Labor government. And I feel that if these trends follow into a federal election, the Labor Party will be back in government there too. There's no question about that.
And if One Nation's popularity continues to surge, member for Kennedy Bob Catter fears his days are numbered.
A coalition member of Parliament would be as rare as Mercedes-Benz on the Murrumbidgee track. I mean, you know, there's not going to be too many of them around. They're an endangered species.
Kim Ivosavac, Win News.
4 people arrested during a major police drug operation have appeared in Cairns Magistrates Court. The men were all arrested as a result of a covert police surveillance operation, itself part of a major statewide sting.
When police shut down Operation Attic last Friday, they proudly boasted of having smashed a major drug network, seizing heroin believed to have come from high in the supply chain.
It's between 40 and 80%, which indicates that we are close to the initial supply at this end.
Today, another 4 people arrested during the sting fronted Cairns Magistrates Court on a host of drug-related charges. Kai Bar Tran, allegedly for trafficking, supplying and possessing heroin. Van Cam Lan, who's on 20 counts of supplying heroin. John William Pearson, facing charges including trafficking and supply of amphetamines, possessing firearms without a licence and illegally shortening weapons. While David William McLean, who's already on bail, appeared on a number of charges arising from Operation Attic. All 4 were intercepted by officers after what the court was told was a surveillance operation using covert operatives. Lamb remanded in custody to reappear on the 23rd of this month. Tran released on bail, ordered to front the Magistrates Court again on the 17th. Pearson also granted bail on a $20,000 surety. He'll reappear the following day, while McLean will return to the Magistrates Court on June the 30th.
I'm giving you a direction of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Act to move along.
I want to know what this is all about.
Just move along.
He's been granted bail, but on the condition he report to authorities daily. Police happy with the success to date of Operation Attic. Daniel Barty, Win News.
Queensland trawler fishermen are set to learn a thing or two from their American counterparts. Bycatch reduction specialist John Olson is bound for the United States to find out how we can improve the efficiency of local devices.
The trawl industry has for some time been trying to reduce the number of fish kills as a result of its operations. No one knows more about bycatch reduction in Queensland than John Olson, the Bundaberg-based trawl fisherman who's just been awarded a $10,000 research tour to the United States to further improve our devices.
Hope for down the track, in different fisheries it's going to differ. I think 70 or 80% is realistic.
Mr Olson was today presented the Fisheries Research and Development Corporation Award. The corporation says it's only fitting he be sent overseas to find out the ideal way to upgrade existing devices.
The real concern of the prawn trawlers inshore with these small fish. So John's found out ways of doing that, and the Fisheries R&D Corporation wanted to recognise the work that he and others have been doing in this area.
And according to Mr Olson, there are no better people to talk to about bycatch reduction than the Americans.
So I think a combination of ideas is always more likely to bring a optimum result than 1 or 2 individual ideas.
Max Futcher, Win News.
Coming up, new cane train tunnel opens in time for crushing season.
And Qantas to bring in its big guns to cater for increased domestic demand in the lead up to the Olympics.
Emily, will you marry me?
Ross pops the question.
Why not?
I've got a carton of milk in my refrigerator I've had a longer relationship with.
And the girls are scheming.
You have next tickets?
Do you guys want these?
A game of give and take.
Just give us our apartment back.
Friends, tonight, 7:30.
Rip in for a bargain at the biggest sale in town on now. Save $131 on this Panasonic remote palm quarter. Save $61 on NEC's 4-head G-Code VCR. Retrovision's giant June sale. Tear in before the big deals are all gone.
As the sun rises, Monday, June 15th, Buzz Music's massive space-creating sale begins. There's over 2,001 items to clear. You'll go 8 for guitars, less 20%, some half price. Guitar amps, 20 to 30% off. PA and recording, less 20%. Keyboards, 10 to 30% off. Drum kits, save up to 25%. Music software from $50, sheet music from $1. You may not see another Buzz Music sale this century, so don't miss this one. Ends this Saturday, June 20th.
We couldn't believe it. In only 3 months, we paid $5,000 off our home loan. That took about 3 years with our last bank.
When we refinanced with local home loans, it was easy, the staff were friendly.
And when we get our free monthly statement, we just can't believe it.
I've used the equity in my home to put toward buying shares in Telstra and AMP.
Local home loans. You've seen the ads, here's the proof, and it's as easy as picking up the phone.
Save shopping around. Cairns Totally Workwear is your one-stop shop for corporate, office and industrial workwear. Featuring leading brands King G, Daniel Lightfoot, Farah and Blundstone. Cairns Totally Workwear, your one-stop shop.
What's new? What's sheer? What won't kiss off? New Color Stay Lip Tint. Sheer color with SPF 15. Won't kiss off. Won't dry out your lips. What's new? Sheer Color Stay Lip Tint.
Hello, Bruce Page. Coming up in National 9 News, the election count and the backlash as the post-mortem begins. Bonanza as AMP shares hit the stock exchange. And England fans' World Cup disgrace. We'll have the details soon.
Welcome back to WINS Local News. The tropical North's tourism industry has received a welcome burst with an announcement that Qantas plans to upgrade its Cairns services. The airline will introduce 2 new flights into the city while improving one of its existing routes.
The currency crisis in Asia has thrown renewed focus on the Far North's tourism industry and the likely negative impacts it'll have on the vital sector. But in a major show of confidence, Qantas has announced plans to upgrade its local operations, scheduling 2 new services into Cairns. The first, additional direct flights from Auckland. The second, an extension of the existing Christchurch-Brisbane service to include Cairns weekly.
Traffic from New Zealand is up about 40%, so it's a really strong growing market that's helping to counterbalance what we're experiencing with the Asian market.
The airline also unveiling plans to beef up its Cairns-Sydney run by replacing the 767s that currently do the flight with larger 747s, an aircraft that generally services international markets. The larger planes to operate on Fridays and Sundays, a decision Qantas says has been taken to meet current demand.
We're line ball with last year domestically and we're slightly up in departures of about 2%, so if we've got increased capacity coming in this year, then hopefully we'll get a slight increase on last year's.
The upgraded Cairns-Sydney service to start later this month as part of a new domestic schedule. Daniel Barty, WIN News.
Another stage of the $40 million Brinsmead to Red Lynch Road upgrade has been completed today. The first cane train went through the 270-metre, $2.6 million Canimbla cane train tunnel in preparation for the crushing season, which starts tomorrow. The tunnel will run under the upgraded Brinsmead to Camarunga section of road when it's completed by the end of the year.
Women business owners have been identified as playing a very important role in the economic future of Queensland. The Department of Small Business is presently in Cairns seeking input on issues concerning businesswomen.
Taking leave from the domestic domain, more and more women are moving into business. In fact, the sector's one of the state's greatest growth areas. That's why the Department of Small Business is touring the state holding seminars to give advice and hear the issues facing women in business.
We're targeting them as we would any other industry or any other sector that had phenomenal growth, and it makes economic sense to target them and do everything we can to ensure their success.
According to Ms Anderson, that includes using the information gathered from the forums to develop policies and create services in the future for business women, who are expected to represent over 50% of Australia's business owners in the near future.
I think it's about 35% of businesses now are currently owned by women. Women actually have 60% managerial control of Australian businesses, which isn't ownership but actually controlling them.
And according to Ms Anderson, women appear to be very successful in the world of business, figures indicating they have a 20% greater chance of succeeding than their male counterparts.
Women do a lot more research and put a lot more time into considering what business they're going to go into and how they're going to make it succeed before they actually commit a lot of time or money.
Belinda Burrows, WIN News.
A milestone today for financial services giant AMP when the company was publicly listed on the Australian and New Zealand stock exchanges. Staff today celebrated the floating of the company by taking their own slice of the AMP cake. But not far from their minds, first day stock prices of shares. After 149 years in business, AMP staff are urging residents to share the organisation's future. Today's action comes almost 2 years after the company announced it would ask members to agree to list on the stock exchange.
And on the subject of shares, AMP hit an early high of $36 before closing at $23, well above market expectations. News Corp up 64 to $11.20. Macquarie Bank up $20 to $13. Gold dropped 26 points. Well, in sport and oh so close for the Cowboys, Bridie.
Yes, Craig, losing by just 2 points to St George, but a different story for the Cyclones with a great win over Brisbane Wests.
Hello, Bruce Page. In National 9 News, counting continues in Queensland as John Howard holds firm on tax reform. AMP shares list on the stock exchange. England fans World Cup disgrace. Injuries hurt the New South Wales Origin campaign.
And on a current affair.
The hidden germs lurking in Brisbane's hotel rooms. The astounding results of our scientific tests. Plus the lure of one nation. Is it really just a Queensland thing?
National 9 News, followed by a current affair tonight on Win.
For all types of quality trailers to suit the needs of every Australian. For tow bars, trailer parts and friendly service, you can rely on Warpack.
Ever noticed when you own a great-looking car, people keep asking where you bought it? Because they want one too. You'll love what you see at Pacific Toyota.
How do you increase the value of your home?
Liquid tile cans.
Spruce up driveways, paths, pool areas and carports with a durable, slip-resistant surface from
Liquid tile cans.
Liquid tile cans also introduce seamless flooring with easy maintenance that beautifies new or old concrete. To complete the picture, change a plain concrete slab into the design, colour and pattern you like.
A family-owned local business. Liquid tile cans, the business for concrete solutions.
Ever since Australians started to drink tea, we've always thought a cuppa not only tasted great, but was good for us too. Now we understand why. The CSIRO has just released information that shows high amounts of antioxidants in all these foods and in tea. In fact, tea is one of the richest sources and accounts for 1/3 of the antioxidants in the average Australian diet. Cheers. Call the Lipton Tea Centre for more information on tea.
Northern announcers, a home loan blockbuster. 5.7% per annum fixed for the first 12 months. Now that's a rate to take the weight off your mind. For more details, call your nearest Northern branch.
Welcome back to Win Sport. The Cowboys have gone down fighting to St George at Cogra Oval despite another spirited comeback. North Queensland lost by just 2 points, trailing the Dragons 16-0 at half-time.
Large half-time deficits don't faze the Cowboys anymore, and maybe they never will. With their second-half miracle against the Panthers still fresh in their minds, the Cowboys nearly pulled off another fighting comeback. Had a difficult conversion been landed near full-time, the North Queenslanders could have salvaged a premiership point. But despite the loss, there was still plenty to like about the Cowboys' effort. Both sides furious with the referee and each other over some decisions. Two tries disallowed for the Cowboys, heavily penalised in a first half dominated by the home side. St George winger Nathan Blacklock too fast for Dale Shearer.
Blacklock for the corner. Shearer can't get him.
The Cowboys carved up the middle soon after, the Dragons up by 16 points.
Now they go away and St George pick up try number 3.
North Queensland had to score first after the break. Ray Mercy winning the race to the ball after a perfectly weighted Doonerman chip.
Well, Blacklock didn't force it. No, second go. Mercy did. Thank you, linesman.
Adding new meaning to the phrase Mercy Dash, the winger showed great speed after an intercept, racing 90 metres to score out wide. When Josh Hannay scooted over in the corner, there was 5 minutes left on the clock. In the end, it wasn't enough time. Jason Ferris, the only injury worry for this weekend's clash with Premiership high flyers, the Melbourne Storm. Ben Robertson, Win News.
The Cairns BP Cyclones, meantime, showed their true potential on Saturday night, defeating Brisbane Wests 18 points to 10. In one of the toughest matches they've played this season, the Cyclones came from behind to steal the match in the dying stages.
Wests are renowned for their uncompromising defence, but it was the Cyclones turning up the heat with some vicious charges in the first half. Hometown hero Bevan Walker leading by example. No No score for the first 20 minutes as both sides played the game at a furious pace. Star hooker Cameron McNabb starting on the bench, his appearance on the field lifting his teammates. But it was Queensland under-18 5'8", Brent Webb weaving some of his own magic to leave the West defence in tatters for the first score of the match. The conversion made it 6-0 before the Panthers came back with a dubious touchdown in the corner after some good lead-up work. So at half-time, the scoreboard read 6 points to 4. West's crossing within minutes of the resumption, the score now 10 points to 6 to the Panthers. Shannon Van Balen's boot then having the Panthers camped in their own quarter for much of the second half. Eventual reward for the Cyclones, set up by McNabb to tie the scores. 2 in front after the kick, McNabb then desperate in cover defence to keep the Panthers from a certain try before Van Balen's boot set the ball rolling again. A perfectly positioned bomb for young Webb to latch onto it from nowhere and put it under the posts. An 18-10 win to the Cyclones to keep them on the edge of the 6. Paul Taylor, Win News.
The Cairns Marlins have shown their dominance in the Continental Basketball Association's North Conference with a big win over Townsville. The Marlins having double the reason to celebrate, also backing up yesterday for a come-from-behind win over struggling Burdekin.
A keenly anticipated clash at the Murray Stadium, the Townsville Heat looking for some payback after their thrashing by Cairns in the far north earlier in the season. However, the Marlins had other plans, starting at a ferocious pace to open up a handy lead. With imports George Butler showing his attacking brilliance and Chris Need dominating the boards, the Heat were hapless to repel the onslaught. And by the major break, the Marlins had racked up an incredible 62 points, landing 67% of shots. While the Heat fought back to win their third period, it proved a mere speed bump as Cairns blasted their way home for a 33-point win. Butler 40 points, Need 28 with 16 rebounds. The Heat's contributors, Shane Frolling with 20 and David Blade 16. Meanwhile, the Sunbirds embarrassed the Dolphins in the women's clash, doubling their total to win 113-57. Kieran Tui, Win News.
City's Cobras have held North Cairns to a goalless last quarter in their CAFL match of the round. North, not helped by this behind, judged a goal by the men in white despite some on-field protests. But the Tigers were in the match all day. Going into the last, the Tigers were just a point down. But it was Cities who dominated the last stanza with 3 unanswered goals. The Cobras jumping a game clear of North in their battle for 4th spot on the table. While ladder leaders, Centrals, have embarrassed South Cairns by 17 goals and Port Douglas were too strong for the Menunda Hawks. The Cairns Cricket Association will turn Brothers' decision not to field a cricket team this season into a positive. Brothers failed to nominate a team in any grade at yesterday's meeting after only fielding an A-grade side last season. The association hopes teams will use their bye weekend for junior player development and club improvements. And that wraps up the weekend sport, and now it's back to Craig.
Thanks, Bridie. All the weather details after the break. Then the North's best chefs cook up a storm at this year's Salon Culinaire.
Monday night at the movies.
I am now going to give them a scare they ain't never going to forget.
John Wayne and George Kennedy.
It was a friendly. I've never been in one of them.
Kale, U.S. Marshal, 9:30 tonight.
It's the insurance bill. Suncorp has answered your call for insurance savings by offering up to $105 off if you have 4 insurance policies. Just call Suncorp on 13 11 55 for smarter insurance answers.
When you need a break, the delicious flavours of continental cuppa soup will stop the world for an instant.
Nobody makes soup in a cup. Next. The continental cuppa soup.
Introducing a whole new world, where a curling iron is now good for your hair, where the blast of a blow dryer makes your hair look healthier and feel silkier. This is the world of new Sunsilk Heat Activated, the only shampoos and conditioners with a revolutionary protein formula that's turned on by heat to actually improve the condition of your hair. And nothing looks more amazing than that. New Sunsilk Heat Activated. Now the touch of heat brings the touch of silk.
I'll never forget that holiday on the Barrier Reef a few years ago. I learnt to scuba dive and totally relaxed for a week. Another time, I went hiking in the Daintree. Now that's got to be the most awesome place I've ever seen. It's amazing. The rainforest comes right down to the water's edge. There are so many world-class holiday spots right here in Queensland, so why would you go anywhere else? Queensland, beautiful one day, picture perfect the next.
The Queensland Wildlife Hospital is hoping you'll adopt the practice of stop, hop and check. If you're involved in a wildlife accident, please stop your vehicle, hop out and check the animal. Often there are lives that can be saved. No matter how small or large, injured wildlife need our assistance. For dietary information and injury treatments, phone the Wildlife Hospital. You can help our bush babies bounce back. Just stop, hop and check.
Thursday, when the girls stay in,
You want to hear about my sex life? Yeah.
the secrets come out.
Okay. What do you want to know?
ER Thursday.
Good evening, Will Burns. He was supposed to be back with you tonight, but he is a little bit ill. He's hoping he's back on deck soon, though. I still managed to raid his photo collection, though. And behind me tonight is a snap taken by Rita Jones, taken on Christmas Eve. If you look closely in here amongst the cloud, you might just be able to see the traces of a rainbow. To the temperatures about today, a 9 was the low at Atherton, most maximums ranging between 25 and 29, the top there at Low Isles. At the moment, though, in Cairns, it's 22 degrees, the humidity 60%, winds southerly at 12 kilometres per hour. To the state satellite picture, and you don't have to look very hard at all to find Queensland's cover today. Look at that. Some very high and low level clusters in there. They're moving to the north of an upper level trough, which is probably better seen on the national outlook. And Queensland has most of Australia's cloud today. It does trail off, as you can see, around the Northern Territory and top of WA area there. You can almost see where that upper level system comes in there beneath it. To the chart, and there's a high, it's almost off screen there, but it's moving closer to the southeast of the state. It's also producing a ridge up the coast, but the further north it goes, the lighter that ridge and that feature. Because the atmosphere is a little more moist with those southeasterly winds, a couple more showers offshore are possible, especially here in the far north. That high is expected to intensify late on Wednesday. At the moment, though, the northern boundary of any rain is sitting at around Rockhampton and central Queensland. So to the forecast, cloudy with isolated showers also possible, light to moderate winds. Maritime observations 18 at Norman, while 17 was recorded at Low Isles. Coastal waters for the far north tomorrow. Southeasterlies to 15 knots, with higher seas to around 1.4 metres. To the tide times now for tomorrow in the far north. High tide at 9:15 in the morning, while your PM high water will hit 1.8 metres. Sunrise and sunset there, 6:44 your sunrise. Tomorrow morning, your sunset at around 9 minutes to 6. That's it for me for this Monday. Here's hoping Burns will be back to replace me soon. Now it's back to Craig.
Thanks, Majella. Cairns is being dubbed the fast food capital of the tropical north, but there's not a Big Mac in sight. 80 of the far north's top chefs were hamming it up today, cooking up a storm in the annual Salon Culinaire.
When it comes to cooking, these guys are the cream of the crop, the camembert of the cheeses, the hottest in the tropics. It's Salon Culinaire, a test of the toughest kitchen wizards in the far north. And while the results are nothing short of irresistible, the proof is definitely in the pudding, keeping it simple, the key to success.
Previous years, not so much here, but all around the world, people combining too many flavours together. And so when you go to eat, you go, that's nice, but what is it?
These days, there's no confusion. This salmon is definitely salmon. But what would I know? Judging is serious business. It's all in the turning of the plate and the poking of the mash. And the verdict?
So far, I think we've had about 45, 50 meals, so I'll taste them. And out of that, we've had some extremely good meals, good combinations and good flavours.
It'll be a long afternoon in the gym for these lads.
We're drinking lots of water, if you notice.
I think it'll take a little more than water. Remember, fellas, you'll be doing this again tomorrow. Kim Ivosabak, Win News.
And just recapping tonight's major story, the seat of Cairns, Barron River and Mulgrave remain on a knife's edge tonight. One Nation's strong polling also creating uncertainty for local federal members. We'll bring you the latest results tomorrow night at 6. And that is Win Years for this Monday night.
Stay with us. National 9 News is next. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.